You're listening to Around Comics. 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 Comics.
You are listening to Around Comics, episode 412. Oh my God, we have a problem with the stream.
Okay.
Now we're better. Sorry. For those of you that are only listening, we had a problem with the video stream where Tom was in the middle of the page as opposed to Chris, which is normally there. It's just weird. It just freaks us all out. You're listening to Around Comics, episode 412. I'm Brian Salazar. With me, as always, is Christopher Niesman and Tom Caters. Welcome to another amazing episode of Around Comics.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Marta just came in the room and said, "Did Sal just show you his junk?"
Hey, well, you know. And maybe next week.
Kind of horror, honey.
Maybe next week.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Patreon exclusive.
My OnlyFans. Get me on my OnlyFans.
Yeah. Around Comics OnlyFans.
I'm starting a new thing. It's called OnlyFan. It's not. There's no pluralization.
Just one fan.
One person.
I was saying before we started, I have a giant movie star type head. You know, back in Hollywood days, I think it's still the same. I mean, you could look at a guy like John Hamm. He has an enormous head, and that's part of why he's a famous actor. I just don't have the face for it. I have the head size. I just need a little reconstructive surgery, and maybe I'd,
Get that star head.
that Starro,
Big.
that MODOK head.
Yeah. All head.
Hey guys,
What's up, Christopher?
how's everyone doing? It's fine.
When-
Are we letting people behind the curtain let them know that this is actually Wednesday?
Well, we are live, so it is. Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Oh, are we live?
We are live. Yeah.
So it's not tape delayed.
No, I just went live. Screw it. It was,
All right.
just get it over.
Go live. Let's do it live.
Just
Do it live. Bill O'Reilly. Do it live.
It's like O'Reilly reference, right?
I'm sure. I've been trying. So I've been trying out Twitter Spaces, trying to figure out the reason is, Chris, we talked about doing K-Billy Super Sounds where we would watch the movie together and do
a watch party.
Audio, yeah, and so I think Twitter Spaces might be the way to go because we can all do it on our phones as we watch, and then we can invite people to listen to us, but they can't talk, which is perfect. We don't.
That is perfect.
We don't want them. They can listen. They just can't.
And comment.
They can't.
So
They can.
a web. It's a web 1.0 experience. It's just me broadcasting to you.
Which speaking of K-Billy Super Sounds and the show that we're loving now, which we'll talk about on ACTV this weekend, Winning Time. I see
Winning Time.
I see a really interesting parallel between Jerry West and Rick Dalton.
Okay, sure, I can see that. Yeah,
just kind of like,
well,
never happy, just slightly, at the top of going over.
I think the parallel between them both is undiagnosed bipolar disorder. Is both of them. I think, and Tarantino mentions that in the book. Like Rick was undiagnosed bipolar, and I think Jerry West, at least as depicted in Winning Time, may have been.
I don't know if in real life Jerry West was quite that bipolar.
Yeah, but in the show,
I read a couple interesting articles about that this week. About is this really what Jerry West was like? And it sounds like that's kind of what he was like.
I love. At some point we'll get off of it, but I love the first episode where it's like, they're on the golf course and Jerry West is just fucking bitching at everybody, breaking his golf clubs, and he's like, Jerry West, gentleman of the sport, to everyone that didn't know him.
The show is so good, and we will talk about it on ACTV this week, which if you are a Patreon member, you can check out that and all sorts of extra content. Just go to patreon.com/Around Comics. But this here is Around Comics. We talk about comics
Sometimes.
So Tom, why don't you lead us off? What you been reading, man?
I just like reading. I really like reading books meant for kids. So no, I read Stranded.
Nothing wrong with that.
New Green Arrow, the young adults, like series, like the Krypton one that we had read previously. So where it's sort of
a
written.
YA, GA, or
kind
YA,
of. Yeah, I mean, it's like a graphic novel, like little bound version of it, and it was pretty rad. I was like, oh, this should just be Green Arrow. I don't know why we're messing around with it's funny because it's funny because in the regular superhero universe there was like, how do you relaunch Green Arrow? What's like the new status quo for Green Arrow? And like this YA version is just like kind of shows how you could if you just kind of strip away the comic book, all the accumulated comic book stuff, you could tell a pretty good Green Arrow story. It's written by Brendan Deenan and illustrated by Bel Hassala. And it's sort of it shows Green Arrow is like Oliver Queen, 13 years old, in a traveling on a private plane with his father and his father's business partner and his father's business partner's son. They're on they went on a safari to Africa, and they're on their way back. And
did they hunt elephants?
Crashes. Well, it's sort of what's interesting is in the story, it's kind of a lot of it centers around, right? So plane crashes. Oliver's got to help his dad survive and help the other two people survive as well. A lot of it is about and what I think is very strong about this book is by recentering it in stuff that I think kids can identify with, it actually recenters it in stuff that people identify with, as opposed to getting back to those very basic things of Oliver Queen. His dad takes him on this safari, but Oliver doesn't like the idea of killing things. So when it comes time to shoot something, the kid of his business partner is a pretty ruthless sort of kid who has no problem shooting an antelope with an arrow. But Ollie isn't into it and he doesn't want to do it, and that he feels he's disappointed his dad, or that he feels he's weak. And then suddenly they're put in this situation where they crash, and Ollie is the one who's got to find food and find water and all this stuff. And it comes a point where Ollie does have to shoot an animal to save somebody. Yeah. And the way that they did this in this book was really great, because it's you can identify with that kid, Ollie's this kid who's growing up, and he's having obviously a moment where he's kind of deciding I'm not comfortable doing this thing, this doesn't make me feel right, and then immediately being put into a situation where he kind of has to he has to compromise what he thinks is right and wrong for a greater good, right? And they do a really good job, just the art's awesome in it as well, of storytelling and telling the action, and making Ollie a kid, right? A 13-year-old, and making it feel real, but also kind of subverting a lot of comic book tropes, right? So what would a standard comic book do? The standard comic book would make that other kid his arch enemy on the island, which is kind of where you think it is, but they actually become friends, and they kind of learn from each other, and kind of become a little, meet in the middle a little bit of their natures, right? And so it's whereas I'm oh, okay, they're gonna make this other kid his villain.
It's gonna be Merlin.
It's gonna be something, and maybe at some point it does become that, but they kind of subverted it and made it more suddenly now they're working together, and they're acknowledging, like Ollie wishes he was a bit more like that kid, and that kid wishes he was a little bit more like Ollie in certain ways. And like the way they did it was just very deft and like real, and there's like plenty of action, like really great action sequences in it as well. But like a really great job of like I don't know, like kind of stripping down the story and like making it very relatable and making it but still, it's still a superhero story, right? Like Ollie makes his own, he's like an incredible marksman, right? That's why his dad takes him hunting, but he doesn't want to shoot anything, right? And he makes his own bow and arrow out of things he finds on the island, and he does really cool stuff with the bow and arrow, like, so that's in there, right? But it's just like woven in with like a very human story that I think is done really well.
Is this canon with the CW series?
No, I don't think so. But like, just like the Krypton book we read, where it was like, yeah, this is pretty well done. Like, it's like an intriguing way of handling these characters.
Yeah, I saw the second volume of that book is out.
Mm-hmm.
It's available on Hulu.
I haven't gotten to it yet, but yeah, I mean,
it's sort of interesting. Like, these characters were made for kids originally, and then they got to the point where kids aren't interested in them. So now we have to make new versions that our kids maybe could be interested in, that are, teenage versions of it. What's wrong with kids today? They can't identify with a 27-year-old superhero. What the hell, kids?
Well, when you think about it, like a lot of superheroes are just always adults,
right?
Like they're never a child. Like, sure, like Batman, his parents are killed when he's an adult, but most of the time within those stories, you like skip like 20 years and whatever happens in there, and then he comes back, like, Green Arrow is this wealthy guy who crashes on an island, and like, as far as he's always an adult for all time. SpiderMan probably subverted that a little bit at first, where it's kind of like he's a kid, like, and he's not that much older than Ollie is in this story, but sort of like reframing the Oliver Queen story as like happening to a kid is just an interesting and very readable book, just like the Krypton book. Just like, it's like a pleasant read.
Have you seen Spider-Man No Way Home yet?
No, I haven't.
It kind of plays on that idea. I won't spoil anything, but kind of plays on the different stages of life for superheroes. So
superheroes. Did your kid enjoy it?
Yeah,
you said you'd
a lot.
Read it.
Yeah, he liked it a lot. He's also really into. I think he's in the next room watching the '90s X-Men. He's on season 2, episode 5. Yeah, he's just like flying through them.
It's coming back, right? They're bringing that.
They're bringing that back.
Like same animation style.
I don't know.
I hope it's better, because honestly, the animation
it's not good.
Oh, it's terrible.
Not good. It's terrible.
Bad. Yeah, you think of it nostalgically, and then you go back and watch it, and it's like, wow, this is not good.
This is well done. You could do much better these days. But yeah, I mean, just he loves it. Just like devouring episodes.
Entire generation of people, that's their X-Men. Like my wife, that's her X-Men.
Yeah, I mean, it's young enough, it's like appropriate for a kid, but it's just like a hint enough of like adult-ish story, where like it's like kind of the perfect thing for a kid that age. Is like, it's kid stuff, but it's like a little bit elevated, so you kind of feel like you're watching something.
You're not completely wasting your life.
Yeah, or it's just like a little bit.
That was kind of the draw of the series. It's Claremont and Byrne made it. We didn't, we wouldn't have referred to it at the time, but they made it into a freaking soap opera, and we as kids fell in love with the soap opera part of the book. And the animated series.
Who came up with that idea that it was a soap opera? I don't know.
Soap opera.
Bullshit. Soap operas are terrible. Soap operas are fucking awful.
Have you read those?
At the 80s? Time they were better than fucking soap operas. They weren't nearly as, I don't know.
I don't agree.
I disagree, sir. I disagree. There were no
the whole Gene and Scott and Logan thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh no! Argument.
So anything with a love triangle is a soap opera?
I guess like why isn't the Fantastic Four a soap opera?
Yeah. How come Spider-Man isn't a soap opera then?
Yeah.
Oh,
love
Spider-Man
triangles
definitely had some soap opera going on. Yeah. This long-running serial based around these love interests and relationships of these people. It just happened that they had superpowers.
The X-Men are also blessed just with like cool looking characters. Like we talked about, like Wolverine looks rad.
Yeah,
that's why kids like Wolverine. Like it's like, he's got claws. That's cool.
Snick.
Yeah, totally. It's just like that's like 80% of it is like, oh, that looks rad. I want to watch that.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about we were talking about the Punisher. Same thing, right?
Yeah, that looks cool. I mean, he was just watching the episode where it's all like the backstory on how Logan became Wolverine, and it features like Alpha Flight, and he's like enraptured by it.
Alpha Flight. I loved Alpha Flight. That was one of my favorite books. I think I liked Alpha Flight when it came out more than I liked the X-Men at that time. That was one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just
had the new car smell.
Yeah, right. I mean, it was just an X-Men kind of ripoff, but there was something about them being Canadian. I don't know why I enjoyed that so much.
It was different.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, they're Canadian.
Oh, Canadian, how exotic.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. What is this?
Yeah, they had to fly a jet to get to New York.
It's right, yeah. And Puck.
It's like, oh my God.
Puck was a cool character. Is Puck still around?
Yeah, he's with Gamma Flight, the Hulk-ish. I don't know. It's the remnants of Alpha Flight. They're now Gamma Flight.
Is Box still a thing?
Box.
I always like the big robot.
Oh,
like Box. He wasn't a robot. He was a
Mandroid.
Well, it was like he was mind synced with a person, so it was like a he was
your classic mind sync.
Yeah.
Human robot.
Yeah. You know how it is.
Well, I read a book I really enjoyed because it was very much you could have basically picked this book up in like 1987, I think. And it would fit in. It was Superman Batman World's Finest #1 by Mark Waid and Dan Mora, who I've become a big fan of Dan Mora's art. And it's it is set in Metropolis in the not too distant past, as it is called, but it's obviously a different era of Superman Batman. This is just Mark Waid going back to his roots and kind of writing a straight up it's not even like a nostalgic comic. It's just this is
it's World's Finest.
It's World's Finest. I mean, this is in the past, so anything can kind of happen, but it's very much of that era. It fits in perfectly, and it doesn't even do it in a cute way or a clever way. It is like, oh, this was written 25 years ago, and I loved it. I enjoy it. I mean, it looked great. It's a little newer. I mean, obviously, I think dialogue wise, it was much better. Something that you would pick up then, art wise, but just in the sense of like, it's just a Superman Batman. It's Batman and Robin. Batman's in the blue and gray costume with the yellow symbol. Robin, nice. I'm assuming, is Dick Grayson. It seems like it's Dick Grayson. And Clark is, Superman. And it's this really awesome story about some shadowy figure sends Poison Ivy and Metallo to Metropolis to fuck with Superman, and they inject him with some red kryptonite, and he goes all bonkers, and so Batman's trying to stop him from ruining the city, and then the Doom Patrol show up, which is and it's like old school Doom Patrol. It's just
Nice.
it's yeah, and it's it's a throwback. But it was really well done, and I really enjoyed it, and it was fun to read from beginning to end. It was just a straight up superhero comic. Nothing super clever, nothing hidden in it, no subversiveness, no playing with tropes. It was just nope, here you go, there's Superman, Batman, some rogues, some villains, a shadowy figure who's sort of, we don't know who it is,
and some red fucking kryptonite,
and it was just it was great.
Nice.
It was, and a couple of flashbacks and some cool art. It was just it was really a fun, and it's an ongoing series, so
nice
for old fogies like us, I think.
Thank you, Mark Wade.
Yeah, exactly.
The old.
Like,
yeah, didn't Wade take on didn't he relaunch Brave and the Bold with George Perez like 5-8 years ago, 8-10 years ago? It's been a while ago. That relaunch was awesome. I have a feeling a lot like this.
I don't remember it off the top of my head, but yeah, I'm sure it's Mark Wade. He's older. He's 20 years older than us.
Yes.
Yeah. You think we're old,
right? And he's still writing comics.
Yeah, good comics.
He's still doing it, baby.
It was fun. Robin was really good in it. Like it was old school, just sort of fun, quipping, Robin. Doom Patrol. Seeing Doom Patrol was awesome. And it was just the three of them. It was just Cliff Steele and Rita and Larry and it was, I don't know. It was just a nice sort of like, oh, I remember all these guys. I remember, I remember when I liked these comics. So yeah, kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I like this.
Yeah, see, this stuff can still work. I don't know if anyone under the age of 40 would like this or not, but I don't see why not. I mean, there's nothing in it. It's just a good straight up superhero comic. Man. Yeah, it's just a fun superhero comic. I don't know.
There's one that fell into that category that I think we all enjoyed the first issue. Second issue out now. We're going to talk about it. She-Hulk. The first issue felt very much like that throwback, just kind of like 1980s She-Hulk comic. And the second issue, should we spoilers for who comes back? I think he's on the cover, right?
I don't know. Is he?
Well, I'm gonna spoil She-Hulk number 2. Sorry.
All right. No, he's not on the cover.
Yeah, he's on every page.
Just
Jack of Hearts. Yeah, Jack of Hearts is back.
It's not like it's Jack of Hearts. Who gives a shit?
Oh my god, Jack of Hearts is back.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, Jack of Hearts is back, and I didn't know the whole history between Jack of Hearts and Jennifer Walters or She-Hulk, that he kind of does the like energy vampire thing on her when he's around her by accident. He can't really control it, so they're a dangerous pair to have around, but she's there to kind of help him and getting back on his feet kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't as enjoyable as the first issue. It kind of felt like they're trying to bridge to something. So
yeah, it wasn't as entertaining. It was it still looked great, and it was a solid comic. But yeah, the first issue was really entertaining. This one was a little bit more like, okay, we gotta kind of cram some stuff in here. We got to kind of tell you what's going on and sort of set some stuff up moving forward. So it was a little bit of that, but yeah, I had forgotten about the whole Jack of Hearts thing until that sort of, they kind of went back and referenced that. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that was the Avengers.
Yeah. Was that like Jason Aaron's run maybe?
Oh no, it was long before that, I think.
I guess, yeah. Jack of Hearts.
It was when Jack of Hearts.
He's been dead for a while now. Right?
Was it West Coast Avengers?
Shit, I don't know. Could have been.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I do remember that storyline, and that led to him dying essentially but I can't remember exactly what it was, but or if it was West Coast Avengers or the regular Avengers. But yeah, it was before Aaron. Well, he's still writing goddamn Avengers. And it's he's right. And I happened to read the latest issue, and it was like I felt very much like Tom, you were talking about a while back of like jumping into X-Men books sometimes, and it's like, what is going on here? Who are all these people? What yeah, the Avengers is like, I don't even know who half of them are. And they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and Jason Aaron's just sort of I don't know, he's just being a little wacky in his stuff now. He's just sort of like, I'm gonna just do all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah.
Here's a bunch of characters. I don't know who they are. You don't know who they are.
No one knows. No one knows. Jack Hart's a cool looking character.
Yeah.
And I don't know, where this is gonna go, but yeah, it was kind of interesting for him to be back, and we'll see where that goes, I guess. But it's a great looking book. This is She-Hulk is a really terrific looking book.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Antonio.
Yeah. Draws a really good big green woman
in a robe. She's in a robe.
Kind of a prerequisite for the book, but
yeah. You gotta be able to draw. Can you draw a big giant green woman? Yes, you're hired.
You're in it. You got it.
Done. Yeah, I'm liking all like these. I don't want to call them like second tier books, but there's a lot of fun stuff that can happen with those. Tom, you read Sabertooth #2 last week. We talked about that.
Yeah.
I finally got around to it. That's a neat little twist that they put on that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little bit of a Matrix thing going on.
Mm.
Yeah, I read it as well, and like you said, it was nice that they I was glad they got past the whole devil in hell thing a bit, and just went back to sort of the idea of like what is prison, and because I think that's a fascinating sort of thing. But yeah, it was good. Sabertooth #2. It definitely brought me back to like, okay, I want to see where this goes now.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Like, it's not the thing that I was afraid, like, oh, God, no, it's just Sabertooth the devil.
Mm-hmm. Well, now it's Sabertooth with a bunch of disposable characters. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen here.
Well, they're not, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, like,
bloodbath.
How do we get out of this? How do we get, I like, it's sort of like a little bit of a Dirty Dozen kind of thing of like, all right, let's get the hell, we're a bunch of misfits, we're a bunch of prisoners, let's get the hell out of here, or the Great Escape or something. It's like the Great Escape from how do you say Krakoa, sorry. We have a comment here I wanted to bring up. Raj Patel said, if you're reading Reckoning War, it gives a minor spoiler for the She-Hulk book. I didn't read Reckoning War. I read Fantastic Four Reckoning War, the Trial of the Watcher by Dan Slott with art. The
Watcher's on trial?
The Watcher's on trial. Yeah.
And it didn't make any sense.
No, it actually did. It was kind of fun. Well, first of all, Javier Rodriguez is an awesome Marvel, like retro Marvel comic book artist. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's retro just enough, but it's also just like super stylized and fun comic art. But when he draws like these old characters, it has such a cool, like, just it really exudes that sort of 60s era Marvel, you know what I mean? Like, just kind of crazy and zany, and but the book was fun because it's basically it opens up with like a bunch of Watchers carrying Uatu like to a chair to strap him down in it, and he's like, no, you can't, we have to, the reckoning is back, we have to stop them, and they're like, no, you've done enough, all you do is meddle with shit, man, you got to stop this. So his dad straps him into this chair and basically
Uatu has a dad?
Yes, apparently.
Oh, okay.
And they strap him to this chair, and they like what's the movie Orange what do you call it?
God damn it, Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange. The Clockwork Orange is open, his eyes open, and make him watch an alternate history, basically a what if, and that was sort of the whole thing. It was like his dad's like, you know, all the times that you get involved in things, it's always what if, and you're always creating these or watching these what if moments. Well, I'm going to make you watch what if you didn't get involved. And so it's basically a retelling of the Fantastic Four when Galactus comes, but it's what if Uatu never helped Reed Richards stop Galactus. And it's this really fun and kind of dark. It gets a little dark at some point, but it's mostly fun.
Did they put drops of LSD in his eyes whenever they stretched it down?
No, they didn't. They didn't show that part. No,
okay.
That was
Just
maybe. Yeah, but I mean, you know, considering the art, it's a bit hallucinogenic.
Nice.
But really cool. It was really
Fantastic Four Reckoning War.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know what Reckoning War is, to be honest. I have no idea. I guess it's kind of like a Fantastic Four event is going on right now.
Do you kind of like the little mini events that they're doing? It's, you know, they're not the universe spanning. It's like Devil's Reign. I've read probably half of Devil's Reign, and it's okay.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, you know, to me, like this, I think is mostly inside the Fantastic Four book. So it's like sort of an event, but it's you know, some spin-off books like this. But then I think like this goes right to the next issue of Fantastic Four, I guess. So I think, you know, that's kind of cool. And yeah, I don't know. This got me interested. Like this particular book got me interested to read the Fantastic Four Reckoning War now. I don't even know what it was. I just happened to read this book because of the Watcher on trial. But it was
last
like
time you were excited to read a Fantastic Four book.
It's been a while for sure. But I'm kind of getting back into like there's something about the Fantastic Four again that I'm interested in. Like, and I think Marvel is starting to sort of you know, put good people on those characters and sort of understand, like going back to the origin of them and making them a little simpler. And I kind of like it now that they're back, you know, that so yeah, I'm kind of interested. But this book was pretty fun. You know, to see sort of a what if the Watcher didn't help with Galactus and it had Silver Surfer in it and you know, the Fantastic Four, and yeah, it was cool. It was spoiler alert, they did still stop Galactus, but yeah, but it was without Uatu's help. He was
sometimes you just got to let those kids go out and make their own way
do
in
it,
the world, man.
do it on their own.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I kind of want to read this Reckoning War.
Yeah, this issue for sure was fun and worth reading. Like it was a fun, and the art is just fantastic.
Yeah.
But now I kind of want to check out the rest of this mini event or whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But you got me, Marvel. You got me with this book. So you bastards.
I have a soft spot for the Fantastic Four, so it doesn't take much to get me intrigued to give it a shot for a little while.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I've always really wanted to like the Fantastic Four. But it's been a while since I have.
I just wanted to go out in space for like a year.
See, I don't want the
I want to
Fantastic
do
Four
Lost in Space
with the Fantastic Four.
Right?
They've done that though. I don't know.
I don't know. I always feel like the Fantastic Four almost needs like what Grant Morrison did with the X-Men, you know, where someone needs to come in and just kind of like fucking switch it all up and like, you know, like, I don't know, do something, or just like remind people that you can do what you can do with the characters, you know, like, because they're always sort of like we've talked about this before. It's always like pinballing, you know, like the Fantastic Four, you need like the family arguing part, but also you need like the wild ass science fiction stuff is the other half of the equation, right? Like that's what made it like work. It's like you had the combination of those things. It's not just like this is a family that argues, you know, like you also need like
or just the big idea stuff.
Like you need Galactus. Yeah. Or it's like It's that they're arguing while Galactus is coming, or like we're in the negative zone and now we're arguing, you know, like,
or Danny McBride writes the Fantastic Four and they're really horrible family that hate one another.
Yeah.
I'd read
And
it.
it's like you kind of got to find that combination. Like that's kind of like the sweet spot is when you can get both of those things.
Well, I remember
going
being
at the same
excited
time.
when Hickman took it over to write, and this has been I don't know, forever
Years
ago.
Yeah.
And that's what was missing, is that he had the big idea stuff, but it's like he doesn't do like
Human beings.
He doesn't do like human interaction,
like emotion
really well.
in any way.
And that's okay. That's his style. You know, he does big idea stuff, which I love. But yeah, he's not. You know, I'm never going to think of him as like a a fuzzy kind of writer.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
And so-
agreed. I love him, but yeah, it's like he's very I don't know, analytical with his writing to some degree.
That's always why I thought his New Mutants was interesting, because he did write characters interacting in like, I don't know, maybe he loved New Mutants, so like he was able to tap into that of like, oh, like Sunspot and Cannonball are friends, and like here's like how they interact with each other. It was much more playful and like more about the characters interacting and less about like big idea like style things. It was a much looser approach, which I liked.
Loosen up a little.
Yeah, just a little,
Johnny.
I mean, especially in context of that, what he did with the X-Men, right? Or he did his own thing where, yeah, like Morrison-esque and like, just like completely alter like what
the DNA of it.
The DNA of it, and be like, actually, no, it's this. Like now you have, I mean, and it's led to X-Men stories that I really enjoy, and I do enjoy like this sort of much similar to like how I enjoyed a lot of stuff after Morrison on X-Men too, because like he kind of reset things in a way that like was intriguing. Like now there's, you can still harken back to the stuff in the past, but now there's like new ways of like playing with the toys and like now like actually, we've had Apocalypse as a bad guy for a long time. What if we have Apocalypse as like a pretty suspicious good guy? Or like, like
you're not quite sure about, but
not quite sure. You're always waiting. Like, is this where he's going to turn back? Like,
yeah,
there's an interesting tension in that of like bringing all the mutants together. And like, there's a bunch of them that you're waiting for them to turn bad. And maybe they won't. Like, maybe he, has as reformed as much as he's gonna ever reform, and like the tension's interesting because you're like,
tricked you, he's bad.
Yeah, or like, yeah. So they can do that when it comes up, or maybe not, and maybe that it is just like this is what this character is now for a while. Yeah. It's fun. It's interesting.
I always like that with Young Avengers. Whenever spoilers, when you find out that Iron Lad wasn't the younger Iron Man.
Oh yeah,
was actually Kang, and that was his big thing, is that he was wrestling with himself because he was aware that at some point he was going to become a bad guy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be a bad person.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be a bad guy. I'm going to be.
Say hello to the bad guy. Say goodbye to Razor Ramon. A little got
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Rest in power, Razor.
Rest in Razor.
One of the Scott Hall, one of the great wrestling icons, unfortunately passed away this week. Yeah. I had to get a little bad guy. Basically, Tony Montana. Yeah. The Tony Montana of wrestling.
Yeah,
that's an era I missed out on.
Yeah, you were not.
Yeah,
the extreme Ramon. The Generation X, what was?
Yeah, I was like, like Ultimate Warrior. I was kind of tapped out about that time.
Yeah, it was basically.
I find the documentaries about wrestling more interesting than the actual wrestling.
I can see that. There's some very dark and sad stories in wrestling.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the inevitable moment where my son gets into wrestling for like 6 months.
That happened to my son. Like, he got into wrestling for a couple of years when he was probably 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
And by the time he was 13, and once he realized that it was, spoilers, not real fighting.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm sorry.
It's scripted.
It's scripted.
It's sports entertainment.
Yes. Once he realized that it was sports entertainment, then he was no longer interested. Lost all its but I think he might come back to it at some point when he starts to appreciate the theatrics of it. Maybe he will come back to it. You know?
The Macho Man Randy Savage documentary is pretty amazing.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Macho Man was one of my favorites.
He was his album, his
rap album.
Yeah.
They go into that big time, and it
has a song about Mr. Perfect. It's pretty touching. I believe it's called My Perfect Friend.
My Perfect Friend.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's ridiculous, but also.
So Greg Porter is lost on what day it is.
It's Wednesday, Greg.
Greg.
Not Tuesday. He still has Chris still has theater nights with his wife. He still,
I think that ends in April.
Have you seen anything good? Have you seen No, nothing worth a shit.
No.
Oh well. No. It was all worth it though.
Yeah.
Milwaukee theater.
The Milwaukee rep's usually wonderful. It's just I think that a lot of the theater companies are kind of easing back into it, and a little rusty. I've
had, as we go around theater, I've had a lot of really interesting Chicago theater experiences. Like, God, we walked out of a play at intermission. I forget what it was called. And I forgot what theater it was at, but it got to the intermission and I was like, should we just go get dinner? It
was really thrilling, huh?
It was. Well, also, it's also funny because I'm sure this is true in Milwaukee too. So much of the theater crowd are your seasoned subscribers.
Yes.
Are fucking old, oxygen tank old.
Yeah.
And we were watching, we've seen some really great plays. We had a subscription to the Goodman for a couple of years, and we saw some really great stuff there. And we were watching this play, and two women kiss in it, right? And it's not the point. It's just two women who are married, right? It's not a big deal within the story. It's just something that happens when they kiss. This woman with a it was the murmur in the crowd from it's I'm not a super young guy, and when I'm at the theater and I'm oh shit, I am the youngest person.
You feel good about yourself. You feel vibrant
by 15 years, easily the youngest person at the theater. Two women kiss and you're just it was. My wife and I we saw a play once where a stagehand broke their leg backstage. Because part of the play was the changing of the scenes was it was sort of on almost a Lazy Susan type thing where the stage would rotate and something broke, and in between scenes someone was screaming off stage, and we thought it was part. I think people in the audience thought it was part of the play, right? Because it's not a famous play. Nobody knows
this
what's
really
happening.
Sets the mood.
Yeah, and then it was apparent that it wasn't part of the play because the actors on stage looked. Yeah, it was someone's screamed my leg, and they stopped.
Please, God, help me!
And the actors on.
This guy's really good. He's really into this.
He's a great actor. It's a Tony.
He sounds really hurt.
And the actors on stage are freaked out, and then they had to stop the show. The show did not go on.
Break a leg.
Yeah,
he did. He literally broke a leg, and an ambulance had to come, and they had to stop the show because the thing broke. Right? It was you can't
God damn it, Dave!
Have somebody else.
You're always so literal.
Leg. Yeah.
I saw a great play a couple years back. It was small, little, tiny theater in Chicago. I can't remember the name of it, but it was kind of a spoof on Stranger Things. And I mean, it was no money. I mean, it wasn't even a stage. It was just like a floor, but there were theater seats. And it was great. They did a phenomenal job of like using, cardboard boxes and blankets and just like scooters and just like whatever they could, cheaply get their hands on to sort of, give you the feeling of kids running around, doing stranger things. And it was hilarious. It was a great little play.
I saw a Shakespeare play that's like one of Shakespeare's lesser works. I forgot what it was called. And it sucked. I was like, Shakespeare, he just was like, okay, whatever, I'm done with this one. Like, no need for a second draft. I think I nailed it on this first one.
Nice. There's a Shakespeare troupe up here that I forget what it's called, but basically one person in the cast has to drink copious amounts of alcohol throughout the production.
Chris volunteered for that role.
No. And it's the other cast members that basically kind of like, will feed this person shots. And I forget which one we saw, but watching someone get absolutely shithoused and trying to keep up with Shakespearean dialogue is worth the price of admission, I found.
Sounds like drunk history a bit.
It was kind of drunk. Yeah, it was drunk Shakespeare. It was great.
You guys want I got an email if you want to
like emails.
All right, this is from Steve. He said, I also read the new Punisher. Huge fan with 4 long boxes of Punisher comics, and I'm all about fuck the bad police. I'm hoping the Punisher and the Black Hand start doing away with fascist leaders that are corrupt like those bless the war militia twats. Maybe abusive cops also. Just my opinion and wishes. Great show, by the way. New listener, Steve Dust Circle.
I mean, that'd be a bold move. Marvel starts having the Punisher executing police officers.
I don't see that one happening, Steve. But I don't. Yeah. Oh God, military Chris here doesn't. Yeah,
tactical Chris. Tactical Chris would have some things to say about that.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah. The Punisher's killing our freedoms.
Yeah. I don't.
I love emails. How can people email us?
They can send us an email at info@aroundcomics.com. It's pretty easy. If you don't know how to use email, I don't think I can help you at this point.
Yeah, you could send us a letter.
You could pigeon, smoke signals, letter.
Western Union telegram.
I don't know Morse code, but I could probably look it up. Beep. What did you just say, Tom?
That's funny. If you guys are going to start communicating, you're going to start talking about things.
We're going to start talking about you in Morse code,
right? Here it is. All right, we didn't mention last week that we do have a trade talks coming up here in a couple weeks.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Play the stinger.
Oh God, I'm not ready for that.
Man.
I wasn't prepared. Jeez. I'm on a whole different page. Goddamn.
This is our trade talk.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah.
Trade talks.
Which it was Tom's pick as suggested by Sal. Is that what it was?
Oh yeah. What was it? It was War of the Bounty Hunters, right?
Yeah, War of the Bounty Hunters.
I forgot to change it on all the pages. I haven't had a chance. I'm completely slacking on everything.
That's okay.
Me too.
That's okay. It's a
lot of work.
Soule and McNiven, but they don't do the whole thing. They're just like the first issue.
What?
Yeah.
Those sons of bitches.
Just the first issue, man.
It's all they could afford.
Yeah.
It's all the McNiven.
We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks.
Trade talks. Down. What else? What else is going on in the world of comics? Anything exciting?
News.
New.
What was on the gutter dump this week?
Nothing. I did not. I started working on it and I was just not in any mood to write stupid jokes. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not even going to try. Yeah.
For now.
Nothing too exciting. And it's hard sometimes. There's not like comic book news is the worst kind of like you know,
It's either
I-
gossip
It's like a bunch
or
of press release, like
yeah,
press release dumps of stuff that's like probably not going to happen anytime soon.
yeah, it's a lot of it's
yeah,
terrible.
it's just like who cares?
I was
Like,
looking for like people, you know, I'm always looking for like people outraged at stuff and that kind of thing, you know, because I think that's the funniest stuff to me of like when people are
outraged.
really upset about something that's happening in a comic book, you know. But nothing. I'm trying to think what was. Let's see. I can pull up some. Greg Rucka is joining Ed Brubaker on the Gotham TV show. So,
Really?
yeah,
There's
or Cape Crusaders TV show, whatever. I don't
Okay,
even know
it's
what
like-
it's gonna be.
Yeah, Gotham is since
It's gonna be Batman the Caped Crusader. Oh, we lost Tom.
we lost Tom.
Tom just disappeared
feel-
on us.
I feel split.
Yeah, I'll fix it here in a sec.
What was the Gotham
Oh,
Gotham
he's-
PD book that Rucka and
Gotham
Brubaker did?
Central.
Gotham Central.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is called Batman Cape Crusader. It's coming out next year, and it's basically a Bruce Timm Gotham or what do you call it?
What's cartoon?
Cartoon, yeah,
Oh,
and animated series. But it's Rucka and Brubaker are going to be.
nice. Back together again.
Yeah, how about that? I thought
Yeah,
you'd
you're
like
gonna
that.
you're gonna see a lot of Renee Montoya.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, there wasn't anything too exciting this week in comic book news.
I finished Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah. What'd
Yeah.
you think? Are you
Yeah, it
are
was
you
awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Peacemaker. That was a fun. That was one of the most fun comic book stupid things that's come out in a while, I think.
You can sit in with us on Sunday and tell us all about it, Tom.
I was too precious my Sunday.
Especially now that the weather's getting nice.
Right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know, 6 o'clock. The sun's still out. It's gonna be still out
Yeah,
at 6
I
o'clock.
know.
You guys still gonna
ma-
talk about?
You're gonna get on the computer and talk about TV when it's
Nerds,
beautiful out.
I don't know.
Nerds.
We'll
We're
see.
nerds.
We'll
We're nerds.
see.
Got a bunch of nerds.
Mhm.
Like, do it outside at least. I don't know, man. Get some sun.
Might have to do it, you know,
Touch grass, guys. Get
Oh.
outside, touch some grass.
touch grass. Listen, there's nothing outside that I want anything to do with. You know, there's just
Yeah,
it's just a bunch of asshole people and
sucks.
viruses and you know,
Yeah.
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 Outside's it's overrated. Outside's
Coyotes and shit. Just,
coyotes.
We have turkeys here in Tosa.
Well, shoot those
They're
bastards.
the Tosa turkeys. Big controversy.
About. Oh, God.
That
Why did
they,
I ask? Why did I
well-
ask? Why?
Oh, let me tell you.
Yeah, for God's sake.
No, people were feeding them. And then whenever they started getting aggressive, if you didn't give them food, people
Kick 'em in the
started
face.
freaking out.
Oh,
Because-
Well,
and then they
yeah.
started fucking attacking people outside
That's-
of the Metro Mart.
what's a turkey gonna do to you?
I
will-
will fucking mean, man.
I will fucking
It's a
punt a
lar-
turkey.
It's a large animal, Sal.
No, it's not.
It's a large animal.
No, I am a large animal. A fucking
You-
turkey
yeah.
is not a large animal. I will fucking
I know,
punt a
it's
turkey.
Fucking, those fucking beaks, man.
No, I'll kick the head off a
Yeah.
turkey. Fucking just
Yeah. But your average 60-year-old woman walking out of the Metro Mart.
well, listen. If you get to the
Right?
point in life where you can't handle a turkey, then
Yeah.
I guess that's just God's way of saying your time is done on this planet.
When the turkeys can take you out.
Pack it in. Pack it in, old lady.
Yeah.
Come train jujitsu. You won't fear a turkey.
All right. Yeah.
Turkeys.
Are we good? Is that another week in the books?
Yeah, we still got like 6 minutes. We got to stretch here somehow. We can't short people
Hey,
6
I was-
minutes, can we?
I'm talking about fucking turkeys, man.
I guess we're at the end. That's
Yeah.
the sign. That's
Talking
the
about
sign we're
those
at the
turkeys.
end.
Sometimes
might
you just
talk.
yeah.
Give you my Briar recap.
No.
You're a what?
This is Canadian Men's Curling Championships.
Oh.
Don't ask, Tom. Once again, we have to understand. We have to know not to ask.
A briar?
Is that like a briar
It's called
patch?
the Briar. It's been called the Briar forever. So
Cool.
It's just
like Alpha Flight.
Briar Flight. Briar
Flight.
All right,
Puck. Was there ever an issue where Puck was curling with like Wendigo?
Dude, that would be awesome.
Or like Sasquatch.
Who would be the best curler on Alpha Flight? I would definitely put Sasquatch on the
whoever has the most free time.
Yes,
It would be
all right.
the
All
most.
right.
It would be Shaman. It would because he just sat around and he was very, contemplative. He was a thinker.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet pouch.
Meditated.
I always loved that. His power was a fucking pouch.
But wasn't he? He was a mutant. How was his power a pouch?
He wasn't a mutant.
He wasn't.
I don't think Shaman wasn't a mutant. He was a shaman. He was a shaman, and he grabbed shit out of his pouch.
This is what I never understood about Alpha Flight is you had what was his name? The Canadian. What was the?
They're fucking all Canadian. Dude.
No, I know, but the main leader guy. What was it?
Guardian.
Yeah, Guardian.
Yeah, Hudson. James McDonald. Hudson.
He essentially had the same powers as Iron Man, but his suit was skin tight. And it's like, what the fuck? How come Iron Man couldn't even like who built that suit?
Not
Iron
James
Man's supposed
McDonald. Mac Hudson built it.
Yeah, but he wasn't considered like a genius, but he obviously microcircuitry was way better for him than Tony Stark.
Shaman is both a fully trained medical doctor and a magic wielder who carries a medicine bag which contains a pocket dimension known as the Void.
Cool.
You can summon all manner of physical and mystical objects and potions from the bag.
Yeah. You weren't supposed to look in it, right? It would make you go mad.
Don't stare into the abyss.
Is that do I recall that correctly?
I don't know. It's like a bag of holding.
Yeah. It was a bag of holding. It's characters die and come back and die and come back and die. Man, issue 12 of Alpha Flight. I don't know if a comic book fan from like a younger fan today can understand how fucking crushing that comic was.
Well, it was a soap opera.
It was a soap opera. It was. It really was.
Yeah. Well, I think. I don't know if comics today have that.
The last page of that issue is still burned into my brain.
I just wonder. I mean, I don't even know. Do kids read comics at all? I mean, are there like a 13-year-old still, 12-year-olds that are like that passionate about any comics? I hope there are, but I don't know.
Yeah, there might be.
There has to be some, right?
Yeah, but that last page of that issue, I can see it in my mind's eye right now. That was
heartbreaking
issue. It was. It's absolutely Mac. All right. We talked about Patreon, so check that out. We'll have some ACTV coming up. We've got trade talks in 2-3 weeks. Star Wars: The Bounty Hunter Wars. Tom, you got any Tom versus coming up?
Yeah, my computer broke, so I'm waiting on its repair. We'll get one. I've also just been lazy and tired.
That's okay.
It's guys? It's just hard. It's hard. Life's hard, man. Right?
It's all right, Tom. It's
the Briar. You got the Briar going on. A lot of pressure.
Big deal. Yeah. Big goings ons. Yeah, I'm all acting like I have a bunch of energy. I'm gonna go to bed after this because it's been a week.
All right.
But we'll be back next week.
We will
with an all new episode of Around Comics. And in the meantime,
in between time,
we'll be everywhere in
and around comics.
Whoa.